This is Too Long for a Voice Note, a podcast about everything and nothing at the same time, presented by Claire
and Enzo. Our podcast is produced in London. Some conversations are just too long for a voice note.
Hey, he's Enzo.
And she's Claire.
And this is Too Long for a Voice Note. Welcome back, everyone!
Hi guys, welcome back to a new episode.
Thank you so much for joining us. As you may have guessed from the title, it's going to be a slightly different episode this week.
Yes.
We want to say right at the top that this episode will contain descriptions of sexual assault and also suicide. So if this is triggering for you, please do click out of the episode now.
Yes, and for the ones who feel you want to stay, listen to the episode. Thank you so much for supporting us every single week. And yeah, I hope that this topic is a bit a heavy topic, but I think it's really important to talk.
Yes,
to talk
definitely.
And always, the more we speak about this, it's for the best.
Yeah.
Always. So yeah, I hope if you are here, you stay with us, you take something positive out of it, or share with us.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a topic it needs to
be discussed. So we decided just to do a special episode. We're
Yeah.
not going to be doing our usual secret topics
There's
or
no
anything like
secrets
that.
this week.
Exactly, because we both know what the other is going to talk about. So
Yeah.
there's been two big incidents this week. One in Venezuela, which
Yeah.
Enzo will explain, and one in the UK, which I'll talk a little bit about, both containing details of sexual assault. So we thought that as these two big
Yeah.
things happen, it will be a good opportunity to talk
Definitely,
about
definitely.
the issue.
Yeah.
So let's get into it.
Yeah, let's get into it, guys. So yeah, as Claire said, there were two things happening this last week in Venezuela and the UK as well. But from Venezuela, it's kind of Me Too week in different ways. It's a lot of women came forward because some musicians, famous people back in Venezuela, that used to be they turned out to be rapists.
Okay.
And it was a snowball because a lot of women came forward. Well, yeah, that happened to me as well. So there was different famous, relatable famous names back in Venezuela. But the biggest case was with this writer called William McKee is his name, which is a famous writer in Venezuela. I knew him back in the day because he was a professor for an art course I did, but anyway, that's not really relevant. The thing is, it was a bit shocking because this woman came forward that she was basically raped by him when she was underage, very back, I think it was 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And that really created a big situation because kind of nobody was expecting that from him.
And
because
she was his, he was her professor, so
Yeah,
he was in a position of power,
he was
and
a
she was
position of
underage,
power, yeah.
and yeah.
So she confessed everything. She talked about everything. She
Yeah.
had conversations. She had all the conversation translation. Everything was there.
Screenshots and
everything.
yeah.
So obviously it created a huge thing because nobody was, when somebody's that famous, respected, and he was this persona, it's difficult.
Yeah.
So it's shock. I mean, it was a week first with the musician, then this, so it was a whole explosion.
So do you think that the women coming forward about the musicians encouraged this girl to come forward about the professor?
Probably, yeah, because
Okay.
it's still more people, still more women coming forward these
About
days
him or about
and
lots of different,
So
okay.
it's I think it's gonna be probably for the next few weeks,
Yeah.
people coming
the Me
forward.
Too movement.
The Me Too movement,
Yeah,
which is
months.
awesome
Yeah.
that it's happening. To be honest, in the sense of, it's sad, but at the same time, women felt empowered to talk about such a difficult thing.
Yeah.
And take power of the narrative as well in a
Yeah,
sense. It's
definitely.
that happened to me, and felt at least, and that's why internet comes into play. It's good because you have a platform to express yourself,
Yes.
and people will support you, and that
Yeah.
helps. Anyway, to make the story short, it's a lot of details there that are not really important now, but the sad part of it's very
Depends how you want to...
depends how you say it, Willie, which was the man, the writer that raped the professor,
yeah.
he killed himself. He lives in Buenos Aires. He jumped from a building. Basically he couldn't, I guess, deal with his guilt, which is
Yeah.
a whole thing. And it was very shocking. So that I think that's why also makes the situation bigger and intense and
Yeah.
obviously dramatic. So yeah, that's what to give you a little bit of
An overview of
of what's
situation.
happening right now. And when all of this was happening, and I think we were discussing this during the week a bit, it's it's difficult when this happened and what's the let's say, right thing to do, because I think it's not right thing to do if you are like a rapist or you're a or you did like a sexual assault. It's like it's something like it shouldn't happen, you know, like it's not something that you fix.
Yes, of course.
Right?
There's no way to kind of like make up for it, kind of thing. Or I think we want to have that discussion of like is there a way that you could possibly make up for it?
So yeah, overall that's kind of what happened in Venezuela this last week. It's like a lot of like these cases coming up, so it's a horrible situation. And I wonder what happened in the UK that you told me briefly about.
So a very well-known actor here in the UK called Noel Clarke, I think you would recognise him. He has been accused of sexual assault and bullying and harassment and everything. So this didn't come as a massive shock to me, to be honest, because I used to be an actress, and he is very well known in the kind of acting, like UK acting circles, as being an absolute nightmare to work with. And to be honest, like I'm not trying to be all like name droppy or anything like that, but I got told like never ever work with him, not because of sexual assault, but because he's just a bully.
So this is like a new thing.
So he's in a show at the moment on ITV, and ITV very rightly, I think in my opinion, came forward and said like, we're not going to air the last episode of the show. Like
they did what they have to do.
Basically. Done, and there's going to be an investigation. So that was sort of the similar kind of thing. I mean, a bit of different situation, but you know, interesting how these two, even though it's Venezuela and the UK, like it's the same issue, patriarchy. Yeah, the core of it is the same. Problem. So yeah, I found really interesting what you just say about like. IGTV? ITV, sorry. IGTV, that's Instagram. ITV. Dropping him or whatever, because that happened also with him, like the writer, like before he killed himself, like because he was very famous, so he had a lot of deals, so all the companies that came forward, like, okay, we're not backing him anymore, we're not working with him anymore. Yeah. That's a good thing about internet nowadays, like back in the day, if this happened, nobody will know. How you will talk about this. It's very weird if like TV maybe or like the news will speak about it. Yeah. But a lot of companies maybe they would just like ignore it and just keep going kind of thing, because how you reach the company, how you even know he works for them, companies or like whatever they are. In this case, they were like, okay, boom, so he got dropped from everyone basically. I mean, I think that companies take kind of a harder stance now, ever since probably Me Too. You know, for example, definitely. Same with Armie Hammer. He was immediately dropped from his agents. I feel like social media helped it. Like it's really true. Thanks to social media. It's like, then it'd be like, ITV, why aren't you dropping him? You know, it's sort of people like they have to. I think it must be really tricky to kind of. I believe it's hard to kind of. Open up an old rape case, so I wonder kind of if that's where it's a good thing to kind of go that route of publicly speak, especially when it's somebody who is famous. It's a good way to kind of like out them. True. You know, something I wanted to like discuss with you, I found really interesting tweet of this I don't know her name, it was like Twitter person, this woman saying like, as a conclusion of everything from this week, she was like, I feel so sad at the end. Like, I feel like a lot of, not because rape, it wasn't specific about rape, it was about sexual assault overall. I feel very sad, like, at the end, there's a lot of men realizing now that there's something wrong. Yeah. And it's because she was saying, like, culturally, we say, I mean, we do, I mean, as we say and do, like, overall, of course, not like we do it. But, like, we say we do, like, things that are literally like so connected to like rape culture and like all of in sexual assault, and we don't even think about it. And I think like maybe there's a bit of difference between Europe or the UK and Venezuela in this sense, because maybe there's some other like cultural things that are even like more complicated. For example, like, so if you're in Venezuela and you're walking down the street, probably once a week at least or twice, a man will turn around and say something to you like, ooh, you look so hot, ooh, that ass, ooh, whatever. And that's so ingrained in the culture. Yeah. Like that's a form of sexual assault. Yeah. And like culturally we don't think it is. Exactly. We think if you ask for a man, most of them will be like, oh no, I'm appreciating your beauty, I'm thinking that you're beautiful, and I feel like I need to tell you that. You know what? I think that might be ass slapping. Or ass slapping. Gosh. Yeah. Well, I have a definition of sexual assault here. I thought it would be useful to read it, because we had a look over it and we were really surprised that, definitely. You know, and I think probably most women will have been sexually assaulted in this case. So the term Sexual assault refers to sexual contact or behaviour that occurs without explicit consent of the victim. Some forms of sexual assault include attempted rape, fondling or unwanted sexual touching, forcing a victim to perform sexual acts such as oral sex or penetrating the perpetrator's body, penetration of the victim's body, also known as rape. So I guess the one that really stands out to me is, fondling or unwanted sexual touching or anything like that. If people are, I'll get into it in a little bit, but I think a lot of, my girlfriends and myself as well have been masturbated over in public.
Crazy.
And
Disgusting.
so that is sexual assault, you know.
And we don't think, and I think culture sometimes is like, oh, that's disgusting, like why men are like that. But we don't go deeper and think like this is like a problem or an education of like values of culture. It's so many little things there. So I wonder, like, if you're a man and then you did something that's a sexual assault, let's say it's not like a rape, but something like some of the things you say now, like us slapping or us grabbing or like trying to force a woman in a situation, nothing happened but still force, and they think because they're a man it's allowed, because when you're a man, that's how a man's act. And then they're like, oh fuck, that's sexual assault, and I didn't know, because it's so like culturally accepted in a way, let's say, that it's so, I find it so fucked up.
I think, to be
honest, it made me
like,
think about a lot of
men wouldn't, I believe that if a man kind of realised that and he kind of had no contact with the girl now, say for example, I don't think a lot of people would get in contact and say, hey, by the way, 5 years ago, you were drunk, maybe we shouldn't have had sex that time. I don't think
that will happen.
I don't think so, to be honest. I don't think so.
And that's a good point. Like, you think it should happen. Like, my question, not my question, like, what I want to talk about is, like, I think, because it's such a difficult topic and there's not like a good, so there's not like a solution, there's not like, I mean, the solution, like, hopefully don't happen anymore. It's not like a way to fix this, I guess, once it happens.
Yes.
So I wonder if, from your point of view, like, if I do something that it's wrong, and along the way I realize it was wrong, what would be like at least the thing I should do, like, as a man?
I think that I guess I would like an apology, and
at
I think
least, right?
this is why I think a lot of women kind of feel that they need to speak out, which they absolutely should, and they need to, and this is why it's really, really sad in the Venezuela example, because he's killed himself. So number one, we were discussing yesterday, what does that girl feel like who made that initial kind of release of everything? What kind of like relief are those victims going to get? Certainly he's not going to get anything for the fact that he killed himself, but okay. I think if it was me and I got sexually assaulted and maybe I kind of knew the person, I guess, an apology or like a kind of, because I get the impression for a lot of people that it's kind of this, you were misreading it. It's gaslighting. No, that didn't happen. And that is probably even worse, because it's sort of like, we as women often have this thing of, in a lot of different spaces, but you're overreacting. It wasn't that bad. Boys will be boys.
That's horrible.
He just grabbed your ass. You were drunk and you shared a bed with him. He did take you for dinner, like and that kind of, and then I think we often like, and I think this is kind of, for me personally, I can't speak for every woman obviously, but I think I've got a lot more like wise as I've got older, like no really, that's like not okay, whereas I think you probably would put up with stuff before.
It's so bad that always the victim gets all the way of it. It's like, oh no, you did that, you sent wrong signals, you did. No, it's not like that. And I think it's so complicated, this topic, because once you do something like that, there's no, like, I guess, a way to fix it.
There's no
way going back
at all.
But at the same time, I think the fact that men maybe like apologizing and speaking about this, it will help other men to like think about what they did wrong. I hope and I believe, like, in this case, a lot of men will be like, ooh, did I do that back in the day? Did like I abuse a woman? Did like something wrong? Like, especially in this case, talking about the Venezuelan case, like, he has such a big famous person, like, it was very famous, everybody knew him, kind of thing. He even killed himself at the end of the story, which is like such a dramatic ending at the end of it. I wonder if a lot of men will be like thinking again, what are their actions and how they act towards a woman.
They'll probably
and be
just stay
like,
quiet. I would imagine they'll just stay
probably
quiet.
they'll stay quiet, yeah.
Yeah.
But I wonder this opens more the conversation and people will understand more what is abuse. I think often like men, even women, I have to say, because I read a lot of things from women on the internet that were crazy, because they were saying like, oh well, if you're a woman, you should know why you were speaking with this man, blah 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 blah.
Okay,
and it's very like,
yeah.
you as a woman, how can you say that? But okay, but men and women, they don't realize sometimes what's the concept of sexual assault. What we were just reading. Well, to be honest, we were reading it. We were a bit like, oh,
exactly.
Okay, like us grabbing, that's sexual assault,
Yeah.
and maybe you didn't know. So
But I find it so surprising. Like I find it really hard to kind of have sympathy for someone who is like, oh my god, what? Wait, grabbing someone's ass without their consent is sexual assault. Like, I get that. You know, we were shocked. Like, okay, well, that's covered in that definition, but you don't think that's wrong?
should be basic morals things like
It's
how you do that and feel it's okay.
How did you grow up? Did you grow up thinking it was okay to grab a woman's vagina or grab her
But
ass or something?
again, going back to culture and social
yeah.
stuff, like that's I thinking about like I think I have like a really good education and I got really good morals in my family and my mom and even my brother that is older than me. So I didn't never have that issues like on my side. I don't know.
Yeah.
It wasn't like around me that type of things.
yeah.
I always knew what was right and wrong overall. But I think if I think back what I see on TV in movies like soap operas, that's what you see. You see like them men grabbing women's asses and some of them being like, like kind of like telenovela, like oh she's the sexy one, like she's showing a lot of skin, so that's why the man is grabbing her ass. And on TV it's really like, oh well, you nowadays maybe not, but back in the day it's like, oh well, you're wearing that type of dress, so what you want me to do, you're exposing your skin to me, so I feel like empowered to do it. So that goes back to all of this that we always speak about, like culture, social things, family, and it's fucked up how you see like it's all like a whole like complicated like ball of things, like all really like
it's kind of about it's really deep, and I think there's a lot about power, it's about power structures, it's about women's bodies in public spaces. And like I'll definitely share a story now that Enzo already knows of when I was working as an actress. And again, I think this is something that we talk a lot about, of how when you work in creative industries, often you can be taken advantage of, especially if I was working as an actress quite young, and I got this job offer for a film on this website that's like very legit and everything like that. It's something that actors use all the time in the UK. And spoke to the guy, super nice and everything like that. Went to his supposed house. Clearly in hindsight, it was like an Airbnb or something like that in London. Like some other girls there as well. Like the premise of the plot was kind of that like I was the bride, and there was I was getting married. It was like the hen do, but it was very sort of like a bougie hen do, and rather than there being like obviously a typical like female stripper, there was like a guy stripper. It was like a life drawing class. So I was like, oh, this sounds cool. Like it's kind of almost like feminist and kind of like a spin on.
I get it.
Different a spin on like different ideals and kind of thing. And basically we got there and like all the girls, seem very confident, that kind of thing. So it just goes to show. The first alarm bell I had was that he did offer alcohol. Like it was in the evening, and again I was like, well, this is a bit
really
weird,
unprofessional.
Like, very unprofessional. And but then again, it's that same thing that we always talk about: slightly blurred lines in these kind of creative kind of.
You don't want to say like no because you're gonna be rude.
Completely.
Also, you were starting your career. You were younger.
This was
all these things.
Basically like a paid rehearsal for a film. Now that's so unusual. And I was like, fucking made it. This is great.
Yeah, that's what I'm signing up for. Like
exactly.
being like that.
So paid rehearsal. This is so
amazing.
Great. So professional. He obviously is like, because a lot of actors work for free, and I was like, this is great. So I got there. It was like, okay, I'll have like a little bit of alcohol, etc. So we got there, and the guy who seemed like lovely, like looked super normal, whatever that means. No red flags, anything like that. The like apartment was super nice. Clearly he didn't live there, but anyway.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh no, the guy actor, he's cancelled. So
okay.
I'm gonna play the model, and I'm also gonna be the director. So I'm gonna go out of the room, and So first of all, it's like very bizarre because he's a director, so e.g. your boss So you want to make a good impression. So he was talking to us and went out of the room, like came back in completely butt naked, and we were like drawing him. And then he would sort of like, he kind of, and I think this must be very common, escalated it. Okay. So it wasn't like boom straight away. It was like hee, and like it did lots of different scenes, and we stopped. He came back in, put the towel on, went out, like it was going on for a while, all fine. Then in the scene, because it was kind of improv, so again, using that kind of, it's art, it's like loose, like go with it. Again, completely manipulating that situation. He was like, and now it says that the guy kisses the girl, Katie, me, and I was like, no, because they didn't say in the script, like, of course, like as an actor you have to kiss people, but it is extremely like agreed upon, and how you're going to choreograph, you know,
of course, and
I was like, no, like no, and then that kind of worried me, and then I'm kind of laughing because I think I kind of like it didn't really traumatize me. That's why I can tell this story, because you know,
it's a good example of
like power dynamics, I think, and creative industries and power dynamics. Anyway, and again, you know, probably a lot of you, like the first reaction will be like, why didn't you all just leave the room? So bearing in mind there were like four or five girls in the room at the time, but he went out of the room, came back in, and then he said, and now the guy masturbates.
Crazy.
So we were like sat on the sofa, and one girl was sat, and he literally masturbated. We were all in silence, complete silence.
So crazy,
And he came, and he to completion. Crazy, and then he went, and he left the room, and I think that was actually really, really sad, because none of us were looking at each other, and then he left the room to obviously go clean himself, and we were all like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck? Like, you know, because we're not idiots, like, you know, something has been something bad has happened, and I remember just feeling like so angry at myself.
You didn't react. You didn't do like
I didn't react. Like, why? Because I'm a strong woman. Like, I was young, but I was like 24. Like, I was very much, and like guys have like grabbed my ass in a club, and I've like twisted their arm and everything like that. Like, I'm not afraid to be like, fuck off, no. And I was like, what on earth, Claire? And I realised like it's just not my fault at all. Like, it's just it wasn't my fault. Like, it was completely him abusing his position of power, knowing that how desperate actors are, and probably other artists as well, that you'll do anything. He used his position of power to get away with it.
Because at the end, this is like the best case scenario, because nothing else happened, let's say. Like, nothing else, air quotes, because he didn't force you to do anything else. So luckily that happened. But I wonder, like, I don't know how we react to the situation, because maybe you react in a certain way, he goes crazy and he punches you, or one of the girls in the room. It's difficult.
And this is also what I kind of want to use the story to kind of emphasize, that again, like you say, like it was kind of like the best of a bad situation. Like, I wasn't raped, I wasn't touched, anything like that. But you do kind of freeze, and it's completely understandable to me that when people say like, I just didn't know what to do, I just let him rape me or something, like, of course, like, I completely can relate to that. Of like, because also, you know, there were let's say five of us there, none of us did anything. We could have completely overpowered him, but we didn't. And it's, you know, I think we have to have a lot of kind of understanding of people's positions. And to take it back to the girl in Venezuela, like, she was 16, that was her professor. She probably didn't want to piss him off. She probably was a bit manipulated by him. He was offering her like a job and something, and like the dream or whatever she wanted to do. Basically, which is in ways similar situation. And very similar to Harvey Weinstein as well, and, you know.
Well, I don't know the story about the actor, like
Noel
Clarke. I don't know what the story is about, but probably, you know,
completely
the industry, an actor, blah blah blah. It's like your story, like it must be such a common thing that happened, and I wonder, like, you know, sometimes maybe it goes all wrong, so, you know, it's like crazy. I think it's so difficult to, I guess the good thing nowadays that we have more tools to deal with it, because people are speaking about this so much, and we have the Me Too thing, like, it really helped the conversation. So maybe, like, if something like this happened to somebody right now, like you will know how to react, or maybe you'll be like, your brain has already like this, sadly has this information there, so it'll be like, wait, this is not like, you can catch things earlier maybe, or you maybe will be like, I will do something, which is sad that it has to be like that in a way. But I think like also men that are like this shitty type of men, that are more aware that they have to like not do these things, because it's like, this is not like back in the day, like you will do whatever and get away with it.
Exactly.
We're at different times, and you need to understand that.
I think also, like you asked earlier, kind of what can men do. I think it would be really good for men to like speak up. If you do kind of, I mean, obviously none of your male friends will do this kind of thing, but
definitely.
if you are in a group of male friends and one of your male friends like catcalls a woman or something, like have the courage to say like that is wrong. Like, that's wrong.
Definitely. That's so important, because
is.
that really could change the whole narrative of it. Because also you're exposing, like if you're a group of friends and you're basically exposing like another friend that is doing that, he knows, like, if he didn't realize before it was something bad, he will not forget that moment, because everyone else, unless it's a real like a group of shitty people, they will be like, oh no, it's not for, it's just like saying something, I just appreciated the woman, whatever. But if it's a normal group of people, they will be like, oh yeah, okay. So, and that helps a lot, because it keeps the conversation. I think like if some people are like really blind and they don't understand there's something wrong, they will like be more aware of it.
Definitely.
I think speak up is the best thing you can do as a man, and like obviously support as much as you can.
I think it's easier, I would say, I know it takes courage, but I would say it's easier for men to kind of call other men out than with women. As we spoke about in a previous episode, I'll leave a link to it in the cards now. Women obviously do live with fear, so it's sometimes like not even a wise move to call somebody out, because it could escalate in a worse way.
It could escalate.
It depends on the situation, you know.
I think definitely it's a situation like men are the ones in charge to help a lot. Because at the end of the day, even if, because it's not about like, oh, I'm not a rapist, I'm not an abuser, it's not my business, and we're something we always talk about. It's not about that. It's about like you're in a position actually that you could help more, because you have male friends and you can tell them and you can call them out that's wrong, or you can help in different ways to change the culture in a way. I think that's like, I feel this type of issues are more like men are the one who has to do something, because they're the ones who are like the offenders, when the one who are the like the rapists, blah blah blah.
It can't be all on women, and it shouldn't be on women. It shouldn't
be, because it's like, it's absurd like that. And I think this kind of situation, as sad as they are creating a change, and they're creating like movements that are really, really important. It's so sad that it has to come to these bad situations to like, but humans, I think we're always like that. We just need to
be like
we need to go like rock bottom to be like, oh, okay, time to do something. And I think this and thinking about like going back to like famous people, it was very interesting, because recently something happened with Justin Timberlake. And have you heard about this whole story? Like after the Britney Spears documentary, there were because Justin Timberlake basically was very like talking about Britney in a really bad way back in the day, but you know, everybody ignored it because back in the day. And also he was basically, when the whole drama with Janet Jackson happened, he was very like, whatever, not my fault, her problem. So his attitude was very, very wrong back in the day. Nobody realized that. And now after the Britney documentary, all this story came up, and again the Janet Jackson thing. So he was forced to speak about, and he apologized. But obviously everybody, he was like, oh yeah, I realized like back in the day I wasn't doing the right thing, what I say was wrong, and now I understand better. But people didn't took his apologize. So some were saying, but yeah, what people has to do, if you're apologizing, it's wrong. If you don't apologize, it's wrong. But the problem is, in this case, what could be maybe the case of this is more like in a famous kind of thing, or like people in power, like the actor, for example. The thing is, it's been going for so long, and people are telling you for so long that it's wrong, and you every single time somebody speaks to you about it, you're like, oh no, that's not like that. Then you need to wait until something that happens to like speak forward and be like, oh yeah, it's like, no, it's too late. It is too late now, because it's happened like 15 years ago, and you being asked about this, and you would be like, no, it's not my business, it's their problem, women, whatever kind of thing, you know.
It's very cowardly in a way, because I mean, Justin Timberlake, I really don't have a lot of time for Justin Timberlake. He's clearly not learned from his, I mean, he was caught cheating on his wife a few months ago, you remember? So clearly
Yeah.
he's like not the most like feminist
Yeah,
kind of
clearly,
like
yeah.
respectful man. But yeah, I think it is such a shame when
It translates to like not also like non-famous people, because it's the same way of thinking.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, maybe he's been told by his agent, like, of course, like,
Yeah.
don't speak out about it, etc. But yeah, I get you. That's just so not the point. I have something to ask you about.
Yeah.
So with this kind of mini Me Too movement in Venezuela, do
Yeah.
you think it will actually, because you kind of give me the impression of kind of what I know from Latin America, you know, we have a Mexican friend as
Yeah.
well, and in Mexico it's actually the highest
It's really
number of
bad, yeah.
female murders, like it's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
Do you think that, you know, this will kind of help to kind of change this like machismo culture at all, or you know?
I think it's so deep and so like part of the culture that it's not like a change will happen like overnight, you know. But I think definitely will help a lot, especially because after all of this, even more and more famous people are being like, all videos, like tweets, like things they say are coming up.
Yeah.
And you see like almost everybody are doing, almost all of the men are saying something bad, or something like it's rapist, or something like it's harassment. So I think that will create a change, because people rethink more about what they say and how they say it. But also we need to think like this is like at the end this is very like a little bubble, because this encapsulate like a part of the society, I guess.
Okay.
Because it's not like this probably will reach a lot of people. It won't reach the whole country. It won't reach the one that has these ideas for like culture, like ingrained
I
that
understand what
easily.
you're
You know what I mean?
saying.
It's
Yeah.
very like
It's like a bit of this
It's
culture, yeah.
like
Yeah.
people like me, young people that knows him, people that
Yeah.
are part of the industry, people that may read this on the newspaper will be like, oh, very bad. But for the rest, it's still part of the culture, being like, you know, I think the guy that probably is slapping asses around, he won't get that more affected
Yeah,
by it if
got
he's
you.
like, if he's doing this for his whole life in a way. But I think everything that's happening now, it will make a difference and a change for the future generations, which is like something that we need to think about, because I think it's very like sad when you think about like everything that happens now. It won't create like a change straight away,
No.
because it's been for so long, whatever is the situation, in this case is sexual assault, but whatever the other situations are, I think it's been for so long part of our culture and who we are, that I think it's like little steps that we're doing for the future. Like I see like maybe in 10 years we're gonna see the change.
Yeah, I get you.
And I hope it will make a difference in Latin America. I know like for a lot of young people will get, because this probably will get to a lot of young people our age as well.
Yeah.
So I know and I feel like a lot of people will reflect on this and will
Yeah.
probably be like, okay, wow. But obviously the older generation, I think, will get too affected by it, because they're basically the ones who
created
and
it.
I
think,
so you know
that's
what I
how
mean.
change happens, though, doesn't it?
How
you know,
change
it's
happens.
not. You're right. It's completely like a slow thing, and we've seen that in Hollywood as
Yeah.
well. And it's one thing and then one thing, and that's kind of like culture. That's how
Yeah.
culture changes.
I think we don't have to be like discouraged by the idea of it will take a lot of time. We have to
Definitely.
be like, no, even though it will take a lot, but if we don't do it now, like in 10 years we'll be still on zero.
Exactly.
So we need to start doing little things.
I think it's about, like we said, you know, it's like everything. It's like how to help the planet as well. You do what you
Yeah.
can, and you can influence your immediate circle, and
Definitely.
you have the courage to call out people when you see somebody doing something that's wrong.
Yeah.
And that's all I think we can do.
Yeah, definitely. I think, yeah, hopefully we'll create like a good change. Also, like people will talk about this for a long time.
Exactly.
And I think, and I hope like there, like for example, let's say Venezuela or now like industry here in the UK, if a man or
Yeah.
a woman say something like that happened, they will speak up and be like, that's wrong.
I think
Don't
so.
do it. And I think it's happening more.
Yeah, it's true.
It's really
It's
happening
education
more.
as well,
It's
isn't it? Because then
it's
a woman, for
education at the end of
example,
the day.
will have it in her head like, no, you're not allowed to slap my bum. I don't care
Yeah.
if you're a director or you're trying to give me a job or
Yeah.
or on the street. Like, no.
That's like a snowball.
You know,
that
that
will-
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's kind of this information like trickling down, and it gets kind of in people's heads, and
Yeah.
I guess you can just kind of hope for like a positive change.
Yeah, definitely,
yeah.
definitely. So yeah, let's hope basically for the best out of all of
Definitely.
this. It's a really sad, because yeah, as we say at the beginning, it's not like a solution. It's not
No.
like a fix for this. It's like if
No.
you suffer from like sexual assault or any type of harassment, nothing will fix it. But I think at least people coming forward and saying like apologizing or whatever, it will at least give like a new light to it, and the more we keep talking about it, it will help in the future. So like basically, don't be a fucking cow.
Yeah.
Like, what we always refer to cows like that.
I don't
Are
know.
cow like really like? It's not also chickens. They say a lot like chickens are really like.
But cows are like...
Don't be like a chicken. It's like, why you say
chicken
that?
is like scared.
Because
like,
they're like,
you're being
because-
like chicken.
But
Like,
are cows like really like
but cows are so like gentle, aren't they?
Right? I'm thinking about like, don't be a cow.
It's just random. Anyway, don't be a cow or
Anyway,
a
don't
chicken.
be a cow or a chicken, or don't be a motherfucker bitch.
But yes,
Basically.
anyway, well, we hope that we kind of, were able to shed
Yeah.
some light on this very sad topic.
Yes.
Please do, as always, leave us a comment
Yes.
if you feel comfortable sharing anything, or
Yeah.
if you feel like we kind of should discuss something else. We would always like to
For
hear.
sure, yeah. And yeah, try to share like not only our podcast, of course, our podcast as well, but whatever information you see about it. Like sometimes like retweeting something may, or like sharing something may say like, oh yeah, everybody's doing it, but you never know who's gonna
It's
reach
true,
to.
very true.
Or if like you have an article about it, share with your family, with your friends, with your male friends, whoever. I think it's the more we talk about this,
Yeah.
the easier it is in the future for everybody. And I think, yeah, if you're a man, I think our job as a man is like try to help as much as possible.
Definitely.
That's basically our job, and it doesn't take you out. If anything, it will add you more as a man. It will be like, okay,
Yeah.
being present and helping
For sure.
as much as you can. So yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's about it for this week.
Yes, thank
So,
you guys for
yeah.
like coming to listen to a new episode of our podcast.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, hopefully next week we're gonna have a bit more lighter
yes,
topic. But I
definitely.
think it's important. If it's important to talk, we talk about it.
Exactly.
Right?
But yeah,
So guys,
that's
thank
everything.
you, and see you next week.
Yeah, see you next week.
Bye bye.
guys.
See ya.